Okay. So last time we started to prove one theorem about ring category, but we did not finish the proof, so I will summarize, I will restate the theorem and summarize what we already proved, and then we will finish the proof. So the theorem in a ring category with left dual, the unit object is simple. So this was the first part of the theorem. The second part is, but I already written that last week, in a multi-ring category with left dual, the unit object is semi-simple and a direct sum of pairwise non-isomorphic simple object denoted 1I like that. But we already denoted that. We already stated that last week. We know that the second part is the direct consequence of the first part and the decomposition we did last week. So we only need to prove the first part, so what I just restate. Okay, so last week we started to prove a bit that. So let sub-object, so one is a unit, and let X a sub-object, a simple sub-object of one. So we know such a simple sub-object exists because the category, so every object has finite length. So we can find such a sub-object. So you have, so every sub-object corresponds to a monomorphism, but you can decompose every morphism. So you have like that. You have an exact sequence where y is equal to 1 over x, the quotient. So we know the functor, the duality functor is exact and contravariant. So we prove that. So we have the exact sequence like that, exact 2. Then we make tensor. So you apply, then apply X tensor like that. You apply this, and it's also exact functor by definition of a multi-ring category. It's okay. So you get another exact sequence like that. Okay. Then, so there is the first exercise. So exercise. So exercise is included in the proof, like the claim. X prime P epimorphism with X simple imply X prime isomorphic to 0 or X. This is exercise like that. So you have, if you have an epimorphism like that with X simple, then X prime must be 0 or X itself, up to isomorphism. So you apply this this exercise here. We know that X is simple, and we know that X tensor X star is non-zero. So we already mentioned that yesterday, last week. So, but X tensor X star different from 0 using coev X different from 0 by definition of the left dual. So by this exercise, X must be isomorphic to X tensor X star. Okay. Okay. So this is what we did last week. Last week I also stated two other exercises. So let A, B, F morphism, then non-zero morphism, non-zero morphism, then if A is a simple object, then F is a monomorphism. If B is a simple object, then F is an epimorphism. So this is a standard exercise. So we will need these two exercises to finish the proof. So now the co-evaluation map, as we said, is a non-zero morphism. Non-zero morphism. But X tensor X prime is isomorphic to X, and X is simple. So X tensor X prime, X star, sorry, must be simple too. And we can apply the previous exercise. But X tensor X star is simple because it is isomorphic to X simple. So by previous exercise part 2, coev must be an epimorphism. Okay. So the co-evaluation map in this case is an epimorphism. So which case we are talking about? it's not an epimorphism in general. In fact, we will see in the next corollary that in general it's a monomorphism, but it's an epimorphism for X, a simple subobject of the unit in the ring category case. But we will see that in fact we will prove that X is isomorphic to 1. Okay, so coev will be an isomorphism. So okay, so then so what we have? We have one. We have the co-evaluation map, which is an epimorphism. And we have an isomorphism here. So we have an epimorphism. So the notation for epimorphism. So this means the notation in epimorphism. So we have an epimorphism between 1 and X. But we also have like that, so a monomorphism. I don't know if it is a standard. I don't know if it is a standard notation for monomorphism. Min monomorphism. Anyway, here this means monomorphism. I guess it's a standard notation, but let's see. So you have conclusion. You have one epimorphism to X, monomorphism to 1. Okay, but so then you have a morphism from 1 to 1. But the morphism from 1 to 1 are denoted and C1, and this is one dimension. This reduced to the field by definition of. This is a difference between a ring category and a multi-ring category. A ring category is a multi-ring category in which you have this assumption. So by definition, we have that. Okay. So before that, I should note that we have a non-zero morphism from 1 to 1. So the combination of this epimorphism and this monomorphism provide a non-zero morphism between 1 and 1. And then, so the morphism between 1 and 1 are of this form. So the morphism here must be just a multiple constant of the identity. So F is equal to K, to C identity 1 with C in K star. So K star means non-zero. So F is an isomorphism. So the epi and mono then epi and mono must be isomorphism. So the combination of two is an isomorphism. It should be an isomorphism. So by epi and mono, I don't mean that every epimorphism is isomorphism. I just mean this one and this one must be isomorphism. And so X is isomorphic to 1. So 1 is a simple. X is simple, so 1 is simple. This is what we wanted to prove. Okay. Okay. So it's not so hard. So corollary. So you note that I did not use the first part of this exercise here yet, but we will use it in this corollary. So now we know that in a ring category, with left dual, the unit element is simple. Corollary. So in a ring category with left duals, the evaluation map so the evaluation map are epimorphism and the evaluation map are monomorphism. So proof. So there is two warning here. So in the proof of the previous theorem, we get that the co-evaluation map is an epimorphism. Here. Where is it? Yeah. But this is only because X is a simple subject of the unit. In fact, what is true in general is that the co-evaluation map are monomorphism. And in the previous case, in fact, this co-evaluation map was an isomorphism. That's why it's an epimorphism. But in general, it's just a monomorphism. And you should be careful also because in the book, they exchange mono and epi here, but this is false. In fact, you have there is an errata of the book in the website of one of the authors when they mention a lot of mistakes. So this is really evaluation which are epimorphism and co-evaluation which are monomorphism. Okay. So of course, this is trivial. We only need the fact that one is simple and the exercise here. This is just an application of this exercise and the fact that one is simple. So proof. So we have the evaluation map. So the evaluation and co-evaluation map are that. So X star tensor X evaluation and one co-evaluation X tensor X star. So you have this map, but one is simple. So by previous theorem, so the result follow by previous exercise. You see, B, so one is simple. So you apply, you consider this evaluation map. One is simple, so you are in this case. You are in this case. So F is an epimorphism. So evaluation is epimorphism. Yeah. And the other case, one is simple, so co-evaluation is monomorphism. Okay. Oops. Okay, so corollary again. Corollary. Okay. So next corollary. It's is saying that if you have so you have a functor between a left dual, so a ring category with left dual, and the multi-ring category, if you have a functor which is exact calinear monoidal, then it must be faithful. So this is saying that if you have a functor which is almost a tensor functor, in this case, then it must be a tensor functor. So you can, in fact, the next corollary say that if you have a functor, then which is very close to be a tensor functor, you just remove one assumption, the faithful assumption, then according to the, then you can prove the faithful assumption is automatic in this case. So let C be a ring category with left dual and F from C to D an exact linéaire monoidal functor into multi-ring category into multi-ring category D, then F, the functor F is faithful. Which so is a tensor functor by definition. By definition of tensor functor. So let me so the definition for tensor functor is written on page 66 of the book. Yeah, so a tensor functor is a a quasi-tensor functor and a quasi-tensor functor. It's a quasi-tensor functor with some properties, and a quasi-tensor functor is by definition a functor which is exact, faithful, k-linear, etc. So we just drop the faithful assumption. For f, we drop the faithful assumption, but we can reprove the faithful assumption. So in that case, this is enough to get this is enough to get tensor functor. Okay. So let's recall definition of faithful here. So recall. F faithful mean what? If you have f of x is 0, this implies that x must be 0. Or equivalently, if you have, because we will use the other way in the proof. If you have a non-zero object, then the functor is on x is non-zero. And same for the morphism. And then we will not need the other way for the morphism. So proof. 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 So the proof will be easy. So let x, so an object of C, x non-zero. So we want to prove f of x is non-zero. So you consider, sorry. Consider the monomorphism. Monomorphism 1 to x tensor x star. So if I am not mistaken, this is the co-evaluation map is a monomorphism. So you can co-ev mono by previous corollary. So you have this monomorphism. F is assumed to be, so F is exact. So by exactness of F, this is also a monomorphism. Yeah. So f of x must be different from 0. Because you cannot have a monomorphism from 1 to 0. Okay. Now, let, pas de question. So let f be a now you do the same thing for f, for morphism of C, such that, so here we have f of f equals 0, and we want to prove that small f is equal to 0. So again, so maybe here it's by exactness exercise maybe. Exercise. So it's trivial exercise. you need to apply the okay. So again by exactness. So you have f of the image of the morphism f is equal to the image of f of f, which is 0. So it's another exercise. Not like that. Exercise. So the first exercise is by show that this is a monomorphism and you use the fact that f is exact. And this exercise show that we have this equality by exactness also. But f of f is 0, so the image of 0 is 0. So f of so now you have this equals 0. But you know by the first part of the proof that f is faithful on the object. But we already proved that f is faithful on the object. So im f equals 0. Conclusion. F equals 0. Oh, it's not. So f equals 0. Okay. So maybe should be an exercise. Exercise f equals 0 imply f equals 0. Okay. Okay. So now we will write some few exercises. So some exercises. So let C be a multi-ring category with left dual, and let X in the component ij. So recall that any multi-ring category decompose into components like that. Such components are category, and the diagonal are ring category, CII. So you have a component and Y in this component. So be non-zero object. Non-zero object. So first show that X tensor Y is different from 0. Yeah. Okay. So in particular, so just remark, if C is ring category, I equal J equal K. This means that there is no zero divisor in some sense for all x and y in C. X, y different from 0, imply that x tensor y different from 0. So, so for example, you cannot have this. You should be careful about what I said before. You can get an example of multi-rank category using the matrix, as I say, Mn of vec or something. The matrix model here. So when it's not multi-rank category but a ring category, you don't have a zero divisor. So, for example, you cannot modelize that with matrix, because you can have in a matrix algebra you can have a product of two matrices which are zero. You can have zero divisor in some sense. So there is no zero. I should not write that divisor. Yeah. With in some sense. Okay. Anyway. So to deduce that, so the length, so in the journal order decomposition of x tensor y is greater than or equal to the length of x times the length of y. Okay, third exercise. Show. So the Jordan order length. Jordan order. Third exercise, show that if C. So the third exercise said that the invertible objects are simple. So if C is a ring category with left dual, then an invertible object in C is simple. An invertible mean so an invertible object. So invertible mean object x so mean there exists y such that x tensor y equal y tensor x equal the unit or isomorphic. I guess it should be enough. So it's invertible for the tensor product. Yeah, like that. Okay. And fourth exercise. So the fourth exercise So wait. So let X be an object. So I have a doubt about the definition of invertible. Let me check. Invertible object. Invertible object. Okay. So the definition, in fact, the definition of invertible was in a section we dropped. But maybe this is the same. The official definition is the following. So X is invertible definition. Def is invertible if the evaluation and co-evaluation map are isomorphism. If Fx and co-Fx are isomorphism. So we know that one is mono, the other is epimorphism, but invertible means they both are isomorphism. So you have so evaluation map X star tensor X to 1, and here you are 1 to X tensor X star, like that. They are both isomorphic. So, okay. Okay. So this is exactly what I wrote before, but with y equal to X star and the isomorphism given by evaluation and co-evaluation. Anyway, this is the correct definition of invertible. So let X be an object in a multi-ring category. Multi-ring category with left dual such that X tensor X star is isomorphic to 1. Show that X is invertible. So we have, so you assume that in some sense you just keep this part from the definition and you want to prove the other part in this case. More precisely, you just here in the statement of the exercise, you don't assume the isomorphism being this isomorphism is not assumed to be the evaluation map, so it's even weaker. So this, but what we are doing in this exercise, we are just providing a weaker version of something under some assumption on the category, and then we can prove that we can get the strong version. So in that case, the definition of invertible is redundant. We only need a part of the definition to get. Anyway, so that's all for this exercise. What time is it? Oh, it's time for the pause. 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 5-minute pause. Okay. Okay. So now we'll provide an example of. So now we'll provide an example of a ring category where the unit object is not simple, is not semi-simple. So we proved. What did we prove? In a ring category with left dual, the unit object is simple. So this is very strong. But if you don't assume with left dual, then you can have example of ring category where the unit object is not even semi-simple. So this is what we will provide. The example we'll provide now, and the exercise will be to show that it is not semi-simple. So I will provide the example. Example exercise. So of a ring category. So it's an exercise because I will not prove anything. I will just write the definition of the category. And then the exercise is to prove it's a ring category and the unit is not semi-simple. So where the unit object is not semi-simple. So in particular, not simple. So in particular, there is no left dual for every object. I mean, it's not very simple, so it's not simple. And so by the previous theorem, the first theorem we proved today, there is no left dual for every object. Otherwise, it's simple, so semi-simple. Okay. So the example is the following. So consider the example is the following. Consider. Yeah. So that wait. This is not. I want to go just like that. Yeah. So consider the category of triple. So the category will not be hard, don't worry. So it's a category of triple where V and W are just finite dimensional vector spaces. So we already fixed a field, an algebraically closed field over K algebraically closed. I assume algebraically closed. I don't know if it's really required, but okay. And so you have VW finite dimensional vector space, and A just a linear map between V and W. Linear map. So just a matrix. Okay. Define the tensor product very obviously by so VWA tensor V prime W prime A prime has so V tensor V prime W tensor W prime. So this is vector space, the usual tensor product on vector spaces, and A tensor A prime, and this is the Kronecker product. We already mentioned that. So the Kronecker product, so this is a natural product of matrix to deal with the usual tensor product of vector space, Kronecker product. Okay, and so here the associativity constraint and the unit are obvious. So with obvious associativity constraint and unit equal to K identity matrix. So equal to like that. So this is the example. So the exercise is to show that category C is a ring category where and that one is not semi-simple. In particular, the category has no. So in particular, what I wrote here, you cannot get a left dual. So for every object, there is no left dual. And similarly, you cannot have a right dual. Okay. So I want to explain, to provide a reformulation of previous category. So a remark above category can be defined as the category of finite dimensional representation of the quiver of type A2. So you can say, okay, what that? In fact, this is, so what is a quiver? What is A2? So it's a Dynkin diagram, but in fact, there is nothing complicated. In fact, this is, maintenant. So this is the exact definition of what should be the finite dimension, the category of finite dimensional representation of this quiver. So I will explain what is a quiver and what is a representation of a quiver, and in fact, and what is A2, and that we will see that is exactly the definition we provided before. So A2. So what is a quiver? Definition. So quiver. Okay, so a quiver, according to Wikipedia, this is not in the book, I just had this part. So a quiver is a directed graph where loops and multiple arrows between two vertices are allowed. So what is a directed graph? A directed graph. This is just a set of vertices and oriented edge between the vertices. So you have vertices, edge, and the edge are oriented, so it's a directed graph. And you can have loops and multiple edge between vertices. So typically, you have, for example, some vertices like that. And you can have loop. You can have multiple like that, or only one, or like that. It's not assumed to be connected, so it can be disconnected. So everything you can draw like that should be a quiver. Finite. For example. Okay. And what is what is A2? A2. So what is A2? So A2 is just A2. This is just the graph like that. You have two vertices, sorry, one edge, and one orientation, like that. This is A2. And finally, what is a representation of a quiver? So this is another example. Definition. A2 is like that. So a representation, representation of a quiver is just the assignment of a vector space to each vertices, to each vertex, and a linear map to each oriented arrow. So if you have and the map go in the sense of the orientation. The map go in the sense of the orientation. So then, if you apply this definition to A2, so you have A2. So you have V for one vertices. You have another vertices, so you have another vector space, W, and so you have A. So this is just triple. So for A2, so it is so like that. So this is exactly what we draw before, what we wrote before. Okay. Example. For A2, you have that like that. So this is, it is exactly the category of triple VWA as written above previously. So what we wrote before this example, you have a smart way to provide this, to define this example. This is the category of finite dimensional representation of the quiver of type A2. It's very smart. So, but you see, this is very easy. Okay. So now, okay. So now we will state some result without proof, because it's the proof was too long and I was not motivated enough to write the proof, but I can. This is still interesting to state. So this is about the absence. So there is no non-trivial self-extension of the unit object. So there is no non-trivial extension of one by itself. So there is no extension of one by itself except the direct product. So what is an extension? So definition. We will define what we will call the set of extension between two objects. So let C be an abelian category. So we come back to some definition from the first chapter of the book. Let x, y be two objects. Let x1, yx be the set of exact sequences So the set of exact sequences, such exact sequence, up to isomorphism. So up to isomorphism. So this set is called the set of extension of y by x. So we will not go into the details here. So x1 y x has a structure of abelian group. So I will not provide the details. So those details are chapter 1. So the chapter 1. Maybe I can state the page. On page 4. See chapter 1, page 4 of the book. For the definition of the structure of the abelian structure. So it's a bit boring, but it involves some diagonal, etc. Okay, and so the main example. So if C is the category of a module where a algebra over K algebraically closed x y is just so correspond to the outer derivation. Yeah. So outer derivation. So I don't want to go into the details. So what about that? So you have the derivation divided by the inner derivation. And so derivation of so it's just set D from A to the homomorphism on K y x such that you have DAB equal DAB plus ADB. And inner is just D in there, such that dA equal like that, FA. For some F. Anyway, so I don't want to go into the details. So you can go to the page 4 of the book. So you can see it's a category of a module of an algebra. So this set of extension is just the outer derivation. You quotient the derivation in that sense by the inner definition in that sense. Inner because it involves only F in. And the outer. Okay. Okay. So now, what is the result we wanted to state here about that? So about ring category. So now let K be an algebraically closed field of characteristic 0. So we need characteristic 0 for the statement of the next theorem to be true. Theorem. So let C be a finite ring category over K. Where the unit object is simple. So for that, as by the previous theorem, you can assume the existence of left dual, but just stating that the unit is simple should be more general. I don't know if the fact that the unit is simple implies that there exists there always exists left dual. I don't think so. I don't. So it should be strictly weaker. So you have a finite ring category over K of characteristic 0, where the unit object is simple. Then X1 of unit is 0. So in other words, there is no non-trivial extension of 1 by itself. In other words, there is no. So 0 here means the group, the trivial group. That's why I wrote. That's why I wrote that this has a structure of abelian group, because then the meaning of this to be 0 is just this. This means that it's a trivial group, it's a group of one element. So there is one trivial element. So this means there is no non-trivial element. So in other words, there is no non-trivial extension of 1 by itself so which means that, in other words, also up to isomorphism, if you have like that, exact imply the isomorphic to 1 tensor 1. So 1 tensor 1 this is a trivial extension. There is nothing else up to isomorphism. So this is yeah. The proof is quite technical, so I skip the proof. See the book. When I say the book, I always mean the tensor category book on page 671. So the full page is dedicated to this proof. And exercise. Okay. So you should be able to deduce from this theorem, deduce that if a finite ring category over K of algebraically closed of characteristic 0, so if such category has a unique simple object, so if he has a unique simple object, so it must be 1, then it must be equivalent to the category VEC. So as I said, we deduce that if such a category has a unique simple object, which must be 1, then this category must be equivalent to the trivial category VEC, the category of finite dimensional vector space. So deduce that if a finite ring category C over K algebraically closed characteristic 0 has a unique simple object up to isomorphism, and which must be 1. So if it is unique, we know that 1 is unique. No, not like that. As a unique simple object, so if it is unique, it must be 1. 1. So I guess if it is unique, it must be 1, but in the previous statement, we assume 1 is simple. So maybe you can have a category where 1 is not simple, but I guess if there is a unique simple object, 1 must be, if it's finite. Anyway. Okay. So if there is a unique simple object, and this simple object is 1, isomorphic to 1, this simple object iso to, no. Is a unique simple object. So how to state that properly? Is a unique simple object, and this up to isomorphism, up to isomorphism. So 1, by that I mean there is a unique simple object up to isomorphism, and this unique simple object is 1. Okay. This does not mean there is a unique 1. This means there is a unique simple object, and it is 1. Okay, then C is equivalent to VEC. Category of finite dimensional K vector space. Okay. And the counterexample. In positive characteristic. in characteristic P. So consider the category of representation of the group of Z over PZ over the finite field FP. So this is a counterexample, which means that which mean what? Which mean, so wait. Yeah, which means that so it's a finite category over a field which is not of characteristic 0. It has a unique simple object 1, but it's not equivalent to VEC. It's not equivalent to VEC. It's not equivalent to VEC. Counterexample. Counterexample. Okay. So it's not clear. Show that. Show that it's not equivalent to VEC. Okay. So now, for the last 5 minutes, we can start to talk about the Grothendieck ring and the Grothendieck ring. Pas de question. Okay. Yeah. So this must be characteristic 0, because if it is not of characteristic 0, you have something. We have a counterexample. Okay. So now, Grothendieck ring. There's a new section, and Frobenius Perron, not Ferron, Perron dimension. So we will not talk about Frobenius Perron dimension today, but tomorrow. Okay, so I guess we will have no time to mention about the Grothendieck ring, but let's recall what is the Grothendieck group. So the Grothendieck ring, you have addition and multiplication. So we have maybe time to start to recall what is a Grothendieck. Recall about Grothendieck group. And then, so you have the Grothendieck group will be the additive structure for the ring, and the multiplicative will come from the tensor product, and the additive structure comes from the direct product. So So I have no time. So I will do that tomorrow. Just to be so we will provide the detail definition tomorrow. So quick, but sketch, how to say quickly, detail tomorrow. But yeah. So without details, so the Grothendieck ring. So C multi-ring category. The notation, this is a Grothendieck ring. You have addition and multiplication. So the elements are object, not really that. Element. So the elements are the three abelian group generated by the isomorphism class of simple object. So element generated by iso classes of simple object. Plus is from direct product, that is from tensor product. Okay. So you consider, yeah, so I will provide the details tomorrow. So you have a multi-ring category, you have a direct product, you have a tensor product. So you consider the class of simple object, and you consider the free group generated by this class for this addition. So this is that up to equivalence, and this is that up to equivalence on the simple object, and then you generate everything like that. So I will explain tomorrow in more details. So tomorrow. So the details are tomorrow. Okay. So we can stop here.